Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm really excited for this deep dive. We had a listener write in who wanted to learn more about the physical geography of India, and, well, we aim to please.
Always happy to oblige a curious mind. And for this deep dive, we're going to be looking at excerpts from a ninth grade geography textbook used in India.
Yeah, it's pretty cool actually. It's like getting a crash course straight from the source. It's designed for students, so it really breaks down complex ideas in a clear and easy to understand way.
It really does. You know, it's amazing how sometimes going back to the basics can be so enlightening, even for those of us who think we know a thing or two about the topic.
For sure. Okay, so get this. Millions of years ago, India wasn't even part of Asia. It was actually part of this massive supercontinent called Gondwana. And it was on this, epic journey, drifting across the globe over millions of years.
A journey that ultimately led to the creation of some of the most iconic landscapes on Earth, including, of course, the mighty Himalayas. The Himalayas, yeah, they're pretty hard to miss. But, I mean, to think that they're the result of this incredibly slow but incredibly powerful collision between continents, it's mind-blowing.
It really is. We're talking about forces that have been at work for millions and millions of years. The Indian plate, this massive chunk of Earth's crust, slowly but surely drifting northward, eventually colliding with the Eurasian plate.
And that collision is still happening today, right?
That's right. The Himalayas are one of the youngest and most dynamic mountain ranges on the planet. They're still growing, albeit very, very slowly.
Okay, so just to back up for a second. I know about plate tectonics and all that, but can you maybe explain it in a way that even someone who's never thought about geology could grasp?
Sure. Imagine the Earth's crust as a giant jigsaw puzzle. Those pieces, those are the tectonic plates. And they're constantly moving, shifting, bumping into each other. Sometimes they pull apart, sometimes they slide past each other, and sometimes, like in the case of India and Eurasia, they collide.
Right, and when they collide, things get pretty dramatic.
Yeah, mountains are born. It's like pushing two rugs together. They buckle and fold, creating those towering peaks and deep valleys.
So the Himalayas are basically like a giant wrinkle on the Earth's surface.
Exactly. And it's not just one big wrinkle. They're actually made up of three parallel ranges. The Himadri, which is the Great Himalayas with those iconic peaks like Mount Everest. Then you've got the Himachal, or Lesser Himalayas, and then the Shivaliks, which are the outermost foothills.
Got it. So three ranges, each with its own unique characteristics.
Precisely. And even though Mount Everest, the highest peak in the world, is technically in Nepal, India still boasts some pretty impressive altitude.
Oh, yeah, for sure. We've got K2, the second highest peak in the world, right here in India.
Exactly. It's a testament to the immense power of those tectonic forces we were talking about.
Totally. Okay, but it's not just about breaking elevation records. I mean, the Himalayas have had a huge impact on India, right? Both in terms of its climate and its history.
Absolutely. Think of them as a giant wall, a barrier that blocks cold winds from the north, influencing weather patterns across the entire subcontinent.
Right, and they've also made it pretty tough for, invaders to get through.
Historically, they've been a formidable natural defense, shaping the course of empires and conflicts for centuries.
It's amazing to think about the ripple effects of these massive peaks. They've influenced everything from weather patterns to the course of history. But India's physical geography is incredibly diverse, so let's move on.
From the dizzying heights of the Himalayas, we're heading down to the vast expanse of the northern plains.
Quite a change in scenery, I imagine.
It is. Imagine going from those towering snow-capped peaks to a seemingly endless expanse of flatland.
A stark contrast, for sure. But these plains are pretty important, right?
They're incredibly fertile thanks to the mighty rivers that flow through them. The Indus, the Ganga, and the Brahmaputra. These rivers, fed by snowmelt from the Himalayas, bring life to the land, making it one of the most densely populated regions on Earth.
It's those rivers that make the soil so rich, right? I mean, I'm guessing that's a big part of why the plains are so densely populated.
Absolutely. This region has been a breadbasket for centuries, supporting a huge population thanks to its fertile soil and abundant water.
It's like the land itself shaped the course of human history in this region.
Exactly. The geography of a place is intricately intertwined with the story of the people who live there.
Okay, so these northern plains, are they just one massive, unbroken expanse of flatland? Or is there, more to it than that?
Well, geographically, they're actually divided into three sections. The Punjab Plains to the west, the Ganga Plains in the center, and the Brahmaputra Plains in the east.
Ah, okay, so it's more like a giant fertile puzzle with each piece having its own unique characteristics.
Right.
But I'm already feeling the urge to explore further. What's next on our geographical adventure?
Let's travel back in time to the Peninsular Plateau, the oldest landmass in India.
The Peninsular Plateau. Okay, now we're talking ancient history. What makes this plateau so special?
Well, first of all, its age. We're talking about a landmass that formed over billions of years. It's a window into Earth's deep past.
Wow, so it's like a giant rocky time capsule.
Exactly. And it's not just about age. The Peninsular Plateau is incredibly rich in mineral resources.
Right.
Coal, iron ore, manganese, you name it.
So it's like a treasure chest of geological history and natural resources.
It really is. And here's something I find fascinating. Some of the rivers on the plateau, like the Narmada and Tapi, actually flow westward.
Really? That seems kind of counterintuitive. I mean, most of the other rivers we've talked about flow eastward, right?
They do. But it all has to do with the slope of the land. It just goes to show that geography is full of surprises.
I love those little quirks that challenge our assumptions. Okay, so we've got this ancient, resource-rich plateau, but our journey takes us from this ancient landscape to a place of extreme.
Let's talk about the Thar Desert.
The Thar Desert, yes. That's
Yeah.
exactly where we're headed. It's like stepping into a completely different world.
It really is. The Thar Desert is a place of scorching sun, shifting sand dunes, and surprisingly, a lot of life.
Wait, life in the desert? I mean, it's called a desert for a reason, right?
True, but life finds a way. The Thar Desert is home to a variety of plants and animals that have adapted to survive in this harsh environment. It's also a place with a fascinating geological history. You know, millions of years ago, this desert was actually a seabed.
Wow, a seabed turned desert. That's incredible. From ancient seabeds to towering mountains, India's landscape is truly remarkable.
It is. And we're not done yet. From the arid heart of the desert, let's head to the edges of the subcontinent where land meets sea.
The coastlines, yes. They're so important, not just for India, but for the entire world. Trade, transportation, culture. So much happens along the coast.
And India has a lot of coast. Thousands of kilometers bordering both the Arabian Sea to the west and the Bay of Bengal to the east.
So what are the key differences between the western and eastern coasts of India?
Well, the western coast is relatively narrow, with deep natural harbors. These harbors have made cities like Mumbai and Kochi major centers for shipping and commerce.
So the geography of the coast directly shaped their economic development.
Exactly. The eastern coast, on the other hand, is much broader and characterized by large river deltas, where major rivers like the Ganga and Godavari empty into the Bay of Bengal.
Okay, so different coasts, different features, different economic activities. But we can't forget about the islands. They're part of India's diverse landscape too, right?
Absolutely. India has two main island groups, the Andaman and Nicobar Islands in the Bay of Bengal and the Lakshadweep Islands in the Arabian Sea.
What makes them unique? I mean, besides being surrounded by water?
Well, the Andaman and Nicobar Islands are volcanic in origin.